Well, howdy, and welcome to the Mark Driscoll Show, where we open God's Word, we look at the world, and we tell the truth that culture won't. Across America, a dangerous wave of Muslim extremism is on the rise. From Dearborn, Michigan to New York City, politicians and activists are openly promoting ideas that are anti-Christian, anti-Israel, and anti-freedom. It's being sold as diversity, but what we're really seeing is a counterfeit faith trying to dominate a Christian nation. We'll unpack the rise of Islamic influence in the U.S. politics and why it's not just a cultural issue, it's a spiritual one. We'll break down Candace Owens' shocking claim that President Trump administration has a hand in Charlie Kirk's death and what it reveals about the discernment and deception in modern conservatism. I hope you'll stick with us for another exciting episode of The Mark Driscoll Show.
You're not a Democrat. You're a Democratic socialist.
We had
They didn't vote for Kamala Harris, right?
We had other ground to cover. We have
said leave it blank in the presidential primary because primaries are a place to air dissent. And like many Americans, I was horrified by the Israeli genocide of Palestinians.
Okay.
And if you want to look for me on the ballot, you'll find me as the
Okay,
Democrat.
Mr. Mamdani, thank you.
The assemblyman will not denounce Hamas. The assemblyman will not denounce Hassan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11.
The occupation is a reference to international law and the violation of it, which Mr. Cuomo has no regard for since he signed up to be Benjamin Netanyahu's legal defense team during the course of this genocide. You know, it took Andrew Cuomo being beaten by a Muslim candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited.
Before you get into it, I'm just confused. Why don't they just put closed captioning on it? Why does the lady need to sign in New York?
I don't know, bro. Everything in New York.
It's just a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
It's all good. Where do you want to start with this one? I mean,
Feels like another religion is trying to dominate America.
that's because another religion's trying to dominate America. And so the progressive left is, we are against Christian nationalism. We are for Islamic nationalism. So here's where we're at with Mamdani. We just may call him Dam for short. And so if you go to so I started by going to his campaign website. And so, he's running to be mayor of New York. And just, if you want to know about somebody, just let them speak for themselves. So here's the first quote on his website is, "This campaign is for every person who believes that the government's job is to actually make our lives better."
Mm-hmm.
So let me make this as clear as I can. You either think that the government is the solution or you think that the government is the problem. Those are your options. If you think that the government is the solution, then bigger government equals better government. And the more things that the government controls, then the better your life will be. My deep, profound conviction is that government is the problem, not the solution. The reason we had inflation is the government inserted itself into the economy. The reason why interest rates are high and the housing market is hard for young couples to enter into is because the government inserted itself. And so over and over and over, I'm a capitalist, free market economy. I believe that the marketplace of goods, services, and ideas will determine what provides the best human flourishing. Competition permits that. So what he's talking about, you go to his website, here are the issues that he just says he's running on. Freeze rent. Let me just say this practically. That means if you own an apartment or a home or a building, the government now says you cannot raise rent. Now, they could raise property taxes. You're not allowed to pass that on. Insurance rates can go up, but you're not allowed to pass that on. There can be significant maintenance issues that you need to fund for the property, but you can't pass that on. Imagine owning an asset that you're not allowed to determine in a market what the valuation is.
Mm-hmm. It'd be horrifying. It's no longer an investment.
Well, this is where people who aren't idiots move. See, like Ron DeSantis is having a fantastic week with the election coming up in New York because businesses are fleeing New York and people with money and, IQs are leaving New York and they're relocating. So rent freeze, free buses. So transportation now is going to be free, but the problem is somebody's going to pay for it.
Yep.
And in addition, he's talking about the Department of Community Safety. This means we're going to defund the police and we're going to reimagine public safety, which means now if you're, I don't know, a knife-wielding psychopath, a cop doesn't show up with a gun. I guess a sociologist or a psychologist shows up, with an anti-stress ball to hand it to you to work out your aggression in a meaningful way. I mean, you're just going to increase crime. In addition, next is free childcare. That's what he's running on. It's not free. Somebody's got to pay for it. And if you do run free childcare, now what you are doing is you're saying when the child, if we don't abort the child, so the goal is to kill the child in the womb. If the child does live, we're going to put them in government daycare, and then we're going to put them in government school. And I'll get to this in a moment. Then they're going to live at a government house. They're going to travel on a government bus, and they're going to get food from a government grocery store.
It's just a different country.
Not from Cuba.
It's very similar.
This is Cuba North.
North Cuban, yeah.
Well, actually, this is North Korea. I mean, this is, no.
Every investor will leave.
Well, you'd have no choice. But the good news is it's a free bus. So you can leave on the free bus. And then they're going to have, he's talking about government grocery stores. So now government is going to get into food distribution, which the government is not proven efficient, effective, or economical at anything.
Yeah.
And so now you're going to get your food from the government, and also then they're going to have government-owned housing. The government will now be purchasing housing and will own your place of residence. In addition, they're going to be, quote, cracking down on bad landlords. And here's a quote from the front page of his website. Every New Yorker deserves a safe and healthy place to call home. No, they don't. If you don't work, you're probably not going to live indoors.
Yep.
If you don't pay your rent, you shouldn't be living indoors. If you default on your mortgage, you shouldn't be living indoors. They've now made not just a home, but a safe and healthy place a human right. Tenants will be able to schedule and track inspections with a revamped 311. So his proposal is instead of 911, we now have 311, where if anything's wrong at your apartment or your home or your condo, you call the government and they send out someone to hold your landlord accountable.
It's horrifying.
He's like, what if you don't clean your house? What if you don't maintain your house? If a landlord refuses to make a repair, the city will do it and send them the bill. And in the most extreme cases, I'm just reading the freaking website. When an owner demonstrates consistent neglect for their tenants, the city will decisively step in and take control of their properties.
Oh my gosh.
This is complete and total government control from top to bottom. In addition, they're talking about taking away your guns. And then there's cameras filming you everywhere you go. So this is where you now live. And if you close your eyes, you would wonder, is this North Korea or New York? I live in a government home. I travel on a government bus. I eat government food. I drop my child off at a government daycare. We educate our child, if we don't kill it, in a government school. And if we have any issues, we just call the government, and the government shows up and they freeze rent and they do work on our property. I mean, now the government is going to be like Angie's List. The amount of fraud, I mean, the amount of misspending and mismanagement, it's just unconscionable. And so within all of this, what you're looking at is having the government take over from womb to tomb every element and aspect of life, forfeiting your freedom, and then assuming that some idiot who runs a business is dumb enough to endure these taxes. And if you are a person that owns a building in New York City, you should be fire sailing that today, because this Yahoo is looking at a 90% chance of winning this election.
Yeah, I don't know how any company, corporation, or small business owner wants to stay in this environment. It's just a huge liability. You just exit. It's not a hard decision. You just exit.
The President of the United States of America got out.
Uh-huh.
And so, here's his qualifications. And then the question is, well, how is he competently able to manage all of this? I mean, now you're an expert in transportation, you're
Huge changes.
expert in
Yeah.
housing, you're an expert in food distribution, you're an expert in childcare.
Mm.
So he was born in Uganda. Dude's not American.
Mm.
His mom is a Bollywood producer. His dad is a professor at Columbia in post-colonialism.
Perfect.
Okay. Let me explain post-colonialism to you. So when Christians send missionaries to a country to bring rule of law, translate their verbal language into written language so they can have, books and education system, when missionaries show up at a place and bring biblical values, it's called evangelism and missions. In academia, it's called colonialism.
Mm.
So post-colonialism literally is post-influence of Christianity and biblical ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It is post that, meaning that cultures are sacred, they're morally neutral, they're inherently good, and we have no right for one culture to enter into another culture and to seek to improve that culture. But this is exactly what they're doing in reverse.
Yep.
And so what they're saying is, what his father's entire thesis of his entire degree study and his education is, we need to get beyond the influence of Christianity anywhere on planet Earth, because they're colonizers.
Yep.
Meaning they weren't born here, so they don't deserve to be here. But then this is what's so maddening.
Uh-huh.
The hypocrisy, the blank speck on this, I'm pretty fired up about it. So 40% of people in New York right now weren't born in America. You know what they are? They're colonialists.
Uh-huh.
They weren't born there, and they're coming in and they're bringing values that are not native and inherent to the nation. And so what you have is people saying, we're post-colonial, and you're not. What you are, you're colonizing America.
Yeah, 100%. And New York has historically had a high level of immigration. And the reason it worked so good in the 30s and 40s with, like, the Jews, for example, they all worked their ass off to build something. And that's where all their wealth has come from today, is because they came into this country and built something that added value to this country. They didn't come in and change the country.
So, yeah, I was talking to Charlie Kirk before he passed, and he said, he had a line. He said, immigration without assimilation is an invasion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you want to come to the country? Great.
Mm-hmm.
Here's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We believe that rights come from Creator. We have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. Islam does not permit that. We don't care.
Yeah.
We're not one nation under Allah.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you love that, feel free to stay where you are, or
sure,
go somewhere else that might agree with you. While you're here as well, we are a nation that does believe in, capitalism, entrepreneurship, the American dream, working hard,
yeah,
and not taking out of the system until you put into the system. Yeah. And so if you'd like to come, like, hey, we have some ground rules.
Yep.
But they would say, oh, that is Islamophobic, that is racist, that is, colonialist. And it's like, no, it's not. What it is, it's sanity versus insanity. Mm-hmm. But again, this guy, Mamdani, he's lived in government housing most of his life. He's never had a real job. Mm-hmm. He did have a failed rap career.
Nice.
which we all know the key to running housing in the economic center of the United States of America
As being a SoundCloud rapper.
is being a SoundCloud rapper. I mean, this is where DEI runs its course, right? Like diversity is our strength. Okay, let's give housing to the clown rapper on SoundCloud. In addition, he did work for his mom for a while.
Oh, good.
Which is great. And then he did run a failed political campaign for another candidate. This just screams, you should have Gotham.
Yeah, for sure.
You should have it.
Those who can't teach, govern.
Yeah. Well, and he is a New York State assemblyman. He's been absent for 50% of the votes.
Perfect.
And so he has been absent, not showing up to work more than any other state assembly person, period. So the guy finally got a job and he doesn't show up to it. I mean, you start to look at other issues. He's pro-Hamas, which is a terrorist, state-sponsored terrorist organization in perpetuity in Gaza. He is strictly anti-Israel. He said on record, if Netanyahu shows up in Israel, he's going to arrest him. So now you've got the mayor of New York saying, I should be over Israel, and I am a Muslim socialist who hates Jews and supports terrorists. I mean, I'm sober, but it feels like I've been drinking even explaining this. It's just so outlandish and insane.
It really doesn't make any sense.
It's buffoonery. We'll keep going. He's massively pro-abortion, but yet anyone dies in Gaza and it's genocide. The worst genocide in the history of the United States of America was the legalization of Roe v. Wade in 1973. More than 60 million Americans have been slaughtered in the womb. It is the genocide of genocides, but that's not genocide. That's choice.
Yeah.
In addition, he's pro-drug legalization and safe zones to shoot up drugs. So now there'll be no cops, there'll be no guns, and people will be using hard drugs in public places with government support and then committing crimes because that's what drug addicts do to fund their habit. Also wants to ban ICE and close prisons. So now we'll let all the criminals out and we'll let all the criminals in. And there's some controversy around this, but it seems as well that he'd be willing to legalize prostitution. And it's like, what could possibly go wrong?
I'm phobic to whatever this is. If this is Islamophobic, I'm that. This just should not happen.
Well, this is not the United States of America. It is not American. And so
they're doing missions to our country.
This is reverse missions work. This is reverse colonialism. This is plank spec hypocrisy at an incredibly breathtaking level. You can't come to our country, but we can come to yours. You can't change our values, but we can change yours. You can't convert us to your God, but we can convert you to our God. Just so you know, you don't even need to be conservative, just sober. This is spiritual warfare.
Yep.
This is God creates, Satan counterfeits. And what happens is there's only two ways to get something in life. You earn it or you steal it. This ideology wouldn't build anything.
America would have fallen 100 years ago if this would have, when all the immigrants came into this country, they had to work, and that was a good thing for them and for America. America was built on that.
My family was Irish immigrants that fled during the potato famine and came here and immediately started farming and working and building family businesses. I mean, my ancestors ended up here chasing the American dream. I was actually born on the family farm in North Dakota where they had been working for generations in a family business. We didn't get government housing. We didn't government handout, it was like
everyone was grateful to be here. Like, let's provide value to this country that's much better than wherever we just came from.
But yeah, when you inherently say America is sexist, it's racist, it's evil and oppressive to its core, then you don't show up to contribute. You show up with a victim mentality to deconstruct, dismantle, and destroy. And so, what we saw during the George Floyd and BLM riots was, people just looting and rioting. This is doing so through the ballot box. This is just looting and rioting at a political level.
Yeah. On that note of Islamic extremism, guys had another clip for you out of Dearborn, because some people would say this is just happening in New York. This is just happening on coastal cities. It's not. It's happening all across the country. So let's roll that clip.
But the mosques in East Dearborn are now at times waking us up at 5:30 in the morning with the call to prayer.
This is Dearborn resident Andrea Unger at last night's city council meeting, stating that mosques using outdoor loudspeakers for their call to prayer should not be allowed, and says she believes it's not supposed to be allowed per city ordinance.
The noise complaints have been made out and the police have made numerous visits. What is the next step?
There was some question whether or not any outdoor loudspeakers are allowed, something that was not clarified, only that more evidence is being gathered. But CBS Detroit did examine Dearborn's noise ordinance and found that loudspeakers between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. are in violation of the ordinance.
Hezbollah, bombed the embassy in Beirut and including many Americans. So I just feel it's quite inappropriate.
You are an Islamophobe. And although you live here, I want you to know as mayor, you are not welcome here. And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city, because you are not somebody who believes in coexistence.
The only thing I know Dearborn from is on every Ford part that I put on an old car, it says Dearborn, Michigan often, because that was the heartbeat of America. That's where car plants, that's where industry started, was coming out of the Midwest, middle of the country. It's very sad to see it. That's not our country.
No. So Dearborn, Michigan, it's a suburb right outside of Detroit. It is a Muslim stronghold. And just so you know, you can't be a faithful Muslim and believe the Constitution. You can't, because true Islam doesn't believe in freedom of speech. Muhammad was a guy who had around 11 wives and was betrothed to a 6-year-old and married, I think, a 9-year-old when he was in his 50s. You go to an actual Islamic nation and you just speak against the prophet, you don't have freedom of speech. In addition, you don't have freedom of religion. And as a result, wherever Islam goes, it is a totalitarian, dictatorial, demonic ideology. It started with the false prophet Muhammad in 570 AD-ish. Memory serves me correct. He says he was visited by an angel. Well, Galatians tells us that if an angel comes from heaven and preaches something other than the gospel of Jesus Christ, it is demonic, to be rejected and cursed. Literally, he got a demonic visitation.
Yeah.
And then Islam would say that it is superseded Christianity, and that Muhammad is a greater prophet than Jesus, and that Allah is the only God, and that Jews are enemies of God. Christians are enemies of God. Death to Israel, death to America. So wherever Islam in its pure, undiluted form goes, it's convert or die. And this is where even their concept of jihad is that it's not through proposition, but it's through imposition that Islam is spread. So with Christianity, it's a religion of proposition. Do you want to receive Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior? Islam is not. It's convert or die.
Yep.
It's why even as, Saddam Hussein was toppled in Iraq, there were still a number of Christians there. As soon as you got ISIS, the Taliban, Al-Qaeda spreading throughout, the Middle East, it's convert or die, and they're just slaughtering Christians. And, I get into this in the book, War in Israel. We'll give a link for you to get a free ebook on it. But it's the history of the Abrahamic covenant, the fact that Abraham had 2 sons. One is the father of the Arab peoples. One is the father of the Jewish peoples. This is a 4,000-year-old spiritual battle. And when people think, well, we'll just let the Muslims in, it's like, unless they assimilate into American culture, you get what you get now in Dearborn, Michigan, which is they proposed having the police badge be in Arabic, which is the language of the Quran. You now have mosques all over the place. And even as you saw, the Muslim call to prayer, it is haunting. If you've been, like when I was in Turkey or when I've been in various Islamic nations, it is haunting. And Satan is the prince of the power of the air. And it's like, okay, you can have your freedom of religion, but I also have my freedom of religion. And we both have our freedoms in America. And when you have a loudspeaker praying over my neighborhood or my kid's school, that is demonic oppression. And that is spiritual warfare. And that is dominion and territorial spirits taking up residence, in neighborhoods. And so you've got places right now in Dearborn, Michigan, that it's run by Sharia law. It functions as a separate nation. And police won't even go into those neighborhoods and they won't enact the law because it's too dangerous.
So it's like a principality is ruling over that city. Right?
It is a demonic stronghold. The Bible will call it a stronghold. So Dearborn, Michigan right now is a demonic stronghold. And there are dark, damnable, despicable demonic forces that are promoting not just a physical, but a spiritual invasion and a hostile takeover. And the goal of any stronghold in battle is, so the Bible uses the language of a stronghold. So a stronghold is this. In a military campaign, you can't just show up and win a war. You got to start somewhere. So the question is, where is the place that you could set up camp and defend it? And from there, then you could expand your offense and you could take more ground and you could move out from there. So this is a demonic stronghold, and it's in Dearborn, Michigan. They decided a place where the economy was decimated, where housing was exceedingly cheap, and where most people weren't going to fight for the future of the neighborhoods because the homes had been abandoned and people have been impoverished for a long time.
That's what's so interesting to me, because you can buy a house there $15,000 to $25,000.
So I'm saying this doesn't work in Irvine.
No.
This doesn't work, this doesn't work in a place like New York unless you elect someone who is going to weaponize the government to fund your invasion.
100%. So for the average Christian right now, there's a lot of very loaded terms being tossed around, like Islamophobia and anti-Muslim hostility and things like that, especially with younger generations. How should the average Christian talk about this, address this, like try to be a light in the darkness and be bold in their faith?
Well, they're going to call you names. And so this is what's happening right now. We just call you racist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, patriarchal until you surrender. And so don't surrender, and at the end of the day, it's like Islamophobia. Am I afraid of what Islam will do to the nation? Yes.
So you are one.
Well, so
All right.
do you have
I agree.
fear? Yeah.
I agree.
It's like, what do you think about Islam? I think Islam in its pure form is antithetical to the Constitution of the United States of America and to Christianity. So do you fear if it becomes the ruling force that as an American and a Christian, that is going to be a bad thing? Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I don't just fear that. I know that.
And as Christians, are we anti-Muslim?
We are anti everyone and everything that is anti-Christ. And we love them, so we want them to repent and receive Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. But until they are friends of God, they are not friends of ours.
Totally.
And so this is where, like, you're an Islamophobe. Like, yeah. At the end of the day, I fear that pure Islam in America is bad for Americans. And it certainly does not lead to any tolerance and diversity for Christianity.
No.
Like, when I hear this, this is the hypocrisy on the left. This is where I get fired up. For the mayor of Dearborn to be like, you need to leave because you don't believe in coexistence.
I'll throw a parade.
I'll throw a parade. It's like, that's not coexisting, Mr. Mayor. You're telling someone that you can't coexist with those who don't believe in coexistence. That means you're the intolerista, you're the bigot, you're the Americaphobe, I mean, and everything the man said is a fact.
For sure.
But when your mayor says, I don't represent you, then what you're seeing is bigotry, prejudice. You're seeing hatred and division in the name of tolerance and diversity. It's breathtaking. And so it's like, call me what you want. You're wrong, and I'm not going to surrender.
Yeah, totally. It really does feel like an invasion. It does feel like reverse missionary work for these people to come in and take over a city, take over another city, become mayor. Like it's
Mayor of New York will be a massive stronghold. And so and then the question is, you see like Democratic Muslim socialist. I mean,
yeah, you're mixing some ideologies here.
It's like, okay, Democrat, I mean, used to be like an American constituency. It doesn't anymore. Socialist, you're like, are you kidding me? And socialism is Marxism. Karl Marx, he was an atheist. You can't have atheism and Islam coexisting unless they just have an aligned enemy.
That's what I'm confused about. Adding that in, it feels like you're just trying to get a bunch of cheap followers by.
So what it is cultural progressive social Marxists are deconstructionists. They are useful idiots for Islam.
That's what it seems like.
Useful idiots. They're like, we'll go in and so there's two basic sort of philosophies. There's traditional theory and there's critical theory. I wrote this in another book called Christian Theology versus Critical Theory. Traditional theory is, how do you build something?
Yeah.
How do you build a country? How do you build a family? How do you build an economy? We would call this the American dream. Come here because we are people that like to build.
Yep.
Critical theory is saying, well, the way they built it is wrong, and who built it was wrong, and some of the decisions made was wrong. So we're here to tear it down.
Yep.
It's deconstruction. So traditional theory is construction. Critical theory is deconstruction. This is the heart of postmodernism and Derrida and Foucault and Lyotard and Rorty and all the philosophers. And all it is this, like, there's even in the construction world, there's two crews. There's the demo crew and there's the build crew. Deconstruction is the demo crew.
That's easy.
Demo is so much easy. Like, you could get a gorilla to actually be pretty good at demo, but they're not going to do any cabinetry work. And so the deconstruction, the demolishing is way easier than building something. And what they always promise is, when we deconstruct it, when we tear it down, when we demolish the family, I mean, here in New York, it's like, we're going to deconstruct rent, transportation, police, childcare, food, housing. Like, we're going
to pay you $30 an hour.
And well, $30 an hour minimum wage.
It's crazy.
And so we're going to deconstruct all of it. And then the promise is, and what we will construct will be better. And the like, here's the question, like, can you case study point to anywhere that you built something better? No, we cannot. Oh, isn't that why you left your country? Because it sucks.
Yep, for sure. I just looked it up. $30 an hour is a $62,000 a year salary.
Minimum wage.
McDonald's the guy at McDonald's counter is going to be making $60,000 a year.
Well, and at the end of the day, you don't think that businesses are going to want to pass that expense on to consumers. See, this is where you study business and you understand economics. If I need to pay someone this much, then I need to charge someone this much. Otherwise, I don't have a business.
Yeah. Well, I think and corporations aren't going to do it. Like, McDonald's will just leave. Like,
no, they'll just turn everything over to computers and AI.
Yeah, they won't pay.
There won't be a guy there taking your order, and there won't be a guy there making your fries.
Yeah. And that's the lie to all the blue collar workers right now. They're getting the votes of, is like, oh, this will help you. And then they're going to turn around and everything will be a computer and all the stuff that it is complete lies ideology. It does not work. It doesn't make sense. A business will not stay there. Seattle jumped to like $25 an hour, and tons of businesses fled. $30 an hour is insane.
Well, you go to $30 an hour, and then you legalize drug use, and you open places for people to shoot up and you get rid of the police.
And you give them free housing so they have a lot of disposable income.
Well, and at that point, like, you just keeping a business open, you're like, I got drug addicts, I got criminals, I got no cops.
Yeah, I'm out.
And so this is where socialism is the redistribution. It's the redistribution of wealth. It's not the creation of wealth. And Karl Marx himself, all of this is just, it's Marxism, it's atheism, it's cultural Marxism. And Karl Marx was a horrible man.
Mm-hmm.
His own child starved to death while he was writing a book on economics. He didn't pay his rent, had to move all the time. His wife had a nervous breakdown being married to him. I mean, but he's an atheistic ideologist. And again, these are the people that live in academia. And this is where, too, we saw this, too. Like, I guess I'm in a mood today, but like, even with Trump tariffs and all that, you're like, well, the leading economists at, NYU, it's like, do they own a business?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because there's difference between being an economics professor and a successful entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And I would place my bet on the successful entrepreneur.
Yeah, Trump's pulling levers and everybody's freaking out at the levers, and it's like, let's watch the long game. Oh wait, look, the stock market's all-time highs. The interest rates are coming down. All the things, he's very strategic. Economists, they're not strategic, and the headlines aren't strategic. They're like, they just want to hit today, and freak people out. He's got a plan, and he's got to actually make a plan for America, and people hate it. All this sounds good, but it leads to destruction.
Well, what'll happen is because this is not all of America, it's a few strongholds, the people that are there will flee. So I had a text thread today. I don't want to overshare with a friend of mine, but I've got a pastor friend that I highly regard and really respect and love. And in my opinion, he's the best pastor, or one of the best pastors in New York. And he said the concern is that, he said, there's already been the beginning of a massive flight from the city for those who are conservative, those who are Christian, those who have families, those that have businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so he says, seeing the writing on the wall with the likely election of a guy who is literally a clown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, you go from rapper to running New York.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's wild.
Yep.
And I guess that's idiot phobia. I guess I have a fear of idiots. I guess I do.
Yeah.
He said that the problem is going to be, when this collapses and falls, is there going to be anybody there to rebuild?
Yeah.
And I mean, we've seen it over and over and over. It is really easy, and it's breathtaking how quickly you can disassemble a city or an economy, and how hard it is to rebuild it and to save it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the thing with New York, you're looking at Wall Street and the New York Stock Exchange. You're looking at an economic headquarters that has global implications.
Yep.
And right now, it is literally deciding we're not going to be American.
Yeah.
I mean, that literally is what is being. We're not going to be American. American values, American traditions, American economic principles, American rule of law, American Constitution. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
And if this is the goal of the progressive end of the Democratic Party, the goal is from the strongholds of New York and Dearborn to get to the White House.
Yep.
I mean, they're looking for the critical path forward.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as that happens, everything that has been good about America will cease to exist in an instance.
Yep. 100%. And speaking of people with crazy ideas and ideologies that tear down other people, let's roll this clip.
I just really needed to just take a breather and really process everything that happened with Charlie and what it kind of means in terms of where we are. And I think it is a circumstance where we just know that he was truly betrayed in one of the most egregious ways that I think I've ever seen. It has made me lose faith in politics. It has made me fully lose faith in Trump. And my heart aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics. And they just were like, nope, that is it. And it serves us or it doesn't serve us. And we want to move on. And so here's a holiday. Bro, if they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them? Why is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Martin Luther King, what about this holiday? What about this boulevard? Anyways, let me knock off. Like, they're going to give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave him freaking boulevard. It's like, as soon as they give you a boulevard and a holiday, they definitely killed you. Okay, there's no question. They killed you. There's no way. That's like their signature thing. It's like that's what they do. It's the Fed signature. It's where they sign off after they murder you. So like holiday and a boulevard. And it's never on a nice side of town either. Like Charlie Kirk Boulevard is not going to be a nice side of town. Anyways, I will be back on the 27th, you guys. Thank you guys for all the support throughout these couple of weeks. These last
I can't wait to see her today back up saying just very encouraging things.
So let me take a very different angle on this. I don't know Candace. Never met her. So let me take a very weird angle on this, a pastoral angle. This is my 30th year as a senior pastor. What's happening here is a very public example of a very common crisis.
Mm-hmm.
The wife is unwell.
Mm-hmm.
The wife decides that she's going to live her unwell life online.
Yep.
And now any sense of privacy for the marriage and the family it's eradicated. Is there a point where in any marriage, the husband should say, babe, we got to talk about your social media?
Mm-hmm. If my wife was obsessed with another man, a married man, and kept talking about him
online,
I'd probably have a conversation with her.
Yeah.
If my wife's talking about any other man, it just starts getting weird.
When
having dreams about him, thinking about why they died, kind of obsessing over
them. I'm saying I'm his best friend. It's like, well, actually, your best friend is your wife. My best friend is my wife. And if you or I had a best friend that was a woman other than our wife, that would be bad, not good.
Not good.
Not good. And so how many guys are even watching this and they're like, what my wife posts on social media, I'm not comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, it's photos of her, looking like, gym day and hot mom or whatever. You're like, I don't like that being out there. Or she's, posting private details of our life, or she's taking away the privacy of our children and making them part of her reality television show for her Instagram influencer mom life. Maybe as well, when we have a disagreement or a problem, she's venting and complaining and bringing our private matters public through social media. Maybe she's in arguments with people that aren't healthy or good. Maybe she's triangulating with really unwell people, whatever it is. There is a large number of men who look at their wife's social media and just shake their head and go, this isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't well.
Mm-hmm.
There are other guys, they're watching their wives online manifest the beginning of mental health.
Yeah.
Like saying and doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what Britney Spears is doing online today, but it would be better if she was offline.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that social media works, and I didn't know, here's where my mind is going. So some years ago, I had a discussion with Dr. Drew Pinsky. He hosted the Dr. Drew show.
Yep.
He's like a celebrity psychologist. And I got to co-host Loveline with him one time, which was weird, taking sex calls with him. But he wrote a book called The Mirror Effect.
Mm-hmm.
And The Mirror Effect, it gave kind of the clinical categories for social media a long time ago. And he says that celebrities model behavior and then people mirror it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how you get a following. That's how you get a platform. These are your influencers. The problem is once you say or do something crazy, and then everyone is saying or doing that crazy thing, it's not crazy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So then you got to get something new and you got to get crazier.
Yep.
And if you're asking at the end of the crazy cul-de-sac, who's the cat lady that lives at the end of the crazy cul-de-sac? Shazam.
Shazam. She's doing a good job being crazier and crazier.
Well, but then her team will tell her, you're crushing it online. Viewership is up. The numbers are at an all-time high. Yes, because people are fascinated with watching celebrities self-destruct publicly. It's why the reality television show genre keeps living. It's like, oh, these people are nuts. Like, I want to see the car roll over in the intersection and the blazing inferno.
Yeah.
And they're not watching because you're influencing them, you're entertaining them.
Yeah. 100%. So what would you tell? So let me say this very slowly. Candace Owens' husband, whose name is George Farmer, what advice would you have for him in this time?
Earnestly, as a pastor, just as a pastor, like if the door was shut and we weren't live streaming it, I'd be like, number one, do you know Ahab in the Bible? Ahab was a passive man. And if you are an Ahab, you're increasing the odds of being married to a Jezebel, which is a domineering, controlling, unwell woman who likes power and attention. So my first thing would be, hey, I wrote a book called New Days, Old Demons, and I would encourage you to just ask the question, if in this strange triangle, if Charlie wasn't Elijah and you're not Ahab and she's not Jezebel. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm not saying that's what it's not. I'm just saying that would be a fun Bible study for date night at your cul-de-sac house with all the cats. That would just be something I would throw out there. And just consider as you study that if this dynamic is not replaying itself. In addition, I would say, are you watching, viewing, following her social media? And how do you feel about that as her husband? And if he said, it bothers me that she seems infatuated with another man, I'd say, I would go with that.
I'll for sure go with
Yeah, I would pull that thread.
the first red flag's the different last names.
Yeah. And it's like, well, she's literally having dreams about him. How do you feel about it? And if she is having dreams about him, do you think that maybe you should go get her an evaluation? Like, are we dealing with somebody who they've disconnected from reality? Is this where the professionals need to just ask, hey, are we doing okay here?
Yeah. I mean, if my wife came to me and said a man appeared to her in her dreams and talked to her, I'd be like, all right, let's go talk to a different man in a white coat.
Yeah, let's go check that out. And even if the information you're getting is accurate, doesn't mean it's not demonic. And so, I mean, my first recommendation would be to the husband is like, take a break, get offline.
Yeah.
And at some point, I'll just say this to everybody. If you don't get offline and just go live like a human being, you get a little crazy.
Yeah.
And so, like, the most important thing you can do sometimes is turn your phone off and go for a walk. Go up to the mountains and have a hike. Have some kids and grandkids and play with them. Go serve somebody who's suffering and hurting. You can get so conspiratorial in your mindset if you only live online. And then there's something about somebody's got cancer and you're serving them. Now you're dealing with reality. So like for me, so yesterday, the grandkids came over. We were just talking about like, I don't know what's going on the internet because I'm playing with the grandkids.
Yeah.
And I know that playing with the grandkids is incredibly good for my soul.
Yep.
And so I don't know what people are saying online. I just know that, well, yesterday I got to introduce your son and his cousin to Legos. And this was fascinating for them. They got to start building things and building cars, and now we're building garages. And honestly, doing normal things, being a normal person, living in the normal world, and removing yourself from the internet and attention, it is the only way to be a sustainably sane, well human being.
For sure. For sure. It's really interesting. So George is not on social media at all.
He's probably the healthy one.
And they have 4 kids.
Oh, wow.
That's what I'm saying. I'm finding out if he has a current job. He might be.
I mean, yeah, if you got 4 kids, like, go fill the sippy cup, read the kids' Bible, you know, I mean,
He hasn't had a job in 3 years. They have 4 kids since 2019. So,
okay. I would tell you what I think, but it's a new show,
I know.
and I'd like to have another episode at some point. But if I was a pastor, I would just look at the whole family system and dynamic and be like, is this well? Like, is he the protector, provider, leader, and head? Are they agreeing on their public and private life? Are their priorities God, marriage, children? What is the environment in the home?
Yeah.
You know, how are the children doing? I mean, literally, I would be doing a pastoral evaluation of whether or not this marriage and family was doing well. And that's not to be, you know, pejorative or critical. That's just caring about people.
Yep.
It's one thing to just, you know, take shots and criticize. It's a whole nother to be like, this is a marriage and a family and a person.
Yep.
And if they're not doing well, do we just keep watching because it's breathtaking, or do we help because this isn't going to end well?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Thank you for your insight. I think you kicked the hornet's nest, so this one will be fun online.
Well, you know, at least, I mean, that's what us Islamophobes do in our free time.
I love it. I can't wait to see the YouTube thumbnail on this one.
Yeah.
All right, on to our mailbag. This is where we're going to wrap the show. We have a couple questions. If you guys have a question, feel free to comment it below, and hopefully we'll get to it next week. But last week we got some questions. I go to a mega church and they are getting more woke. What should I do?
Well, first you got to define. So this is the hard thing. Like, there's soft woke and there's hard woke. Hard woke is rainbow flag, transgender bishop, Black Lives Matter support. That's just, you know, praying with, I don't know, Unitarians. That's just, you know, then soft woke is they don't say anything about anything. Like, you never hear anything about life or gender or marriage, any of the real issues that people are really needing clarity on. If you're in a place and that church is moving south and to the left, you have two choices. Respectfully, kindly ask, hey, you know, what is your vision, leadership, whomever that might be? Where are we going? What are we doing? Like, and if you can't get those questions answered because the church is too big, you kindly, respectfully move on.
Yeah.
Go join another church family. But if you can't sit there, especially if you're married, and especially if you have kids, you're like, I don't trust the leadership here and the direction that we're going, then you've got to remove yourself. You don't need to be negative. You don't need to burn it to the ground. Just move on.
Yeah.
Just move on. The sad thing is people have joined churches and they're forced to leave the church because the church has left them. And it means when they joined the church was here, but then the church slid over here and they're like, do I go with you or do I move on? What I would say is if they're going to the left, move on.
Yep.
Don't go with them.
Yep. 100%. Great advice. Thank you, Pastor Park. All right. A fun one. Are married men ever allowed to play video games?
I mean, it's not a sin, but
everything's permissible.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, so is it okay for a married man to pick some hobbies to, you know, sort of divert himself and recover from his day? Okay, fine. If a grown man spends a lot of time and energy playing video games, I do not understand that man at all. For me, as a man, I like to do things that create results. Like if you decide for my free time, I'm going to go fishing and then I'm going to eat fish. Okay. I'm going to do woodworking and then I have a coffee table. Yep. Okay. I'm going to play video games. There's no thing that happens other than just dopamine hits on the brain. And so for me, I obviously don't play video games. I'm a heterosexual man with 2 jobs. And so I don't have time for that. But if you're good at video games, you're bad at being a man.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Because a man doesn't have time to become really good at video games if he's committed to his first part, like work and family and church and maintenance of home and raising of children.
Yeah, I'm like you. I want a productive hobby. I want something I can invite my son into. And I was reading a book the other day, and it was talking about there's a big difference. Men can have hobbies that are numbing versus like restoring, like healing, like
Yeah.
bringing us back to God's creation and like resetting us. And video games, TV, it all just brings us out of our world into another world, and it can feel good in the moment, but you don't remember it afterwards.
Yeah, and it's not a sin, but like how much of your life is lived in a counterfeit reality? And if at any point your wife and kids are feeling neglected by that, because I mean, I don't know a lot about gaming culture, but it seems like a lot of it is headphones on, focused on screen, ignore everyone else in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And as a husband and father, a lot of time in that position means you are not present.
Yeah. Yeah. I was reading a book on raising boys, and it was talking about if video games existed 200 years ago, many of our great war generals would never have existed because they would be using strategy and tactics and all the things just on a video game console. They never would have had to get good at what they were doing, but they're strategists. So somebody playing Halo today could be a great military commander, but he's just in his mom's basement playing video games.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and yeah, and on this too, like as a man, you've got to decide there's only a few things that I'm really ever going to be good at.
mm-hmm.
And do I think that that is a good use of my time and energy? And it's, to me, it's not a sin question, but it's a stewardship question. The guy who says, I'm good at being a dad. I'm good at being an employee. I'm good at being a Christian. I'm good at being a volunteer at my church. I'm good at being a little league coach. I mean, to me, those would be far better things to be good at.
Yeah.
And you can only pick a few things in life that you're actually any good at.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's great advice. With that, guys, thank you so much for joining us for the Mark Driscoll Show. Hopefully you guys like it. If you guys have any feedback, questions, things that you'd like to add, feel free to drop that in the comments. We'd love to hear it. If you text app to 99383, we'll be putting a lot of other content on our Real Faith app. You'll get more exclusive content like this. You'll be able to ask direct questions, all kinds of good stuff on there. And if you text app to 99383, we will send you it free for the rest of the year, just so you can check it out. And if you don't like it, just unsubscribe and delete. It's not that hard. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.